The text came at 3 a.m. Your father passed away. Funeral arrangements will be handled by the family. Do not attend. I stared at my phone, Diana's message burning through my vision as tears welled up. My father, gone. And his wife of 5 years was already making sure I remained what I'd been since their wedding day. An outsider. I hadn't even known he was sick. The morning brought a flurry of calls and messages from relatives, each tiptoeing around the fact that Diana had explicitly banned me from the funeral. My cousin Emma was the only one brave enough to tell me directly. She's telling everyone you abandoned him, Emma said, her voice tight with anger. That you chose money over family when you refused to sell your mother's house to help with their financial troubles. The house. Of course it came back to that. The beautiful Victorian mansion my mother had left me, the one piece of her I had left. Diana had been trying to get her hands on it since she married my father, claiming they needed to sell it to invest in her business ventures. What she really wanted was to flip it and buy that sprawling modern mansion in Palm Grove Estates, her dream house that had been on the market for months. The same house I'd quietly purchased through my investment company 3 weeks ago. The funeral's tomorrow at St. Michael's, Emma continued. Diana's hired security to keep you out. I'm so sorry, Alex. I thanked her and hung up, turning to look at the photo on my desk, my father and me at my college graduation before he met Diana, before everything changed. He was smiling then, proud of his child who'd turned a small inheritance from mom into a successful real estate empire. If only he'd known how successful. The next morning I watched from my car across the street as mourners filed into the church. Diana stood at the entrance, resplendent in designer black, accepting condolences like a queen holding court. My stepsister Melissa hovered nearby, shooting warning glances at anyone who might mention my name. Ma'am. My assistant's voice came through the car's speaker. The papers for Palm Grove are ready. Should I proceed? I watched as Diana checked her phone, probably reading the email about her dream house finally having a buyer. Yes, I said. Proceed with the sale. And make sure everything's ready for their house inspection next week. The funeral proceeded without incident. I stayed in my car watching through tinted windows as they carried my father's casket out. Diana's performance was Oscar-worthy, the grieving widow, dabbing at perfectly made-up eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. 2 days later, Emma called again. Diana's bragging about buying her dream house, she said. Apparently the mysterious owner finally agreed to sell. She's taking the whole family for a walkthrough next week. I smiled, thinking of the paper sitting on my desk. Is she now? Alex, Emma's voice turned serious. What did you do? Nothing yet, I replied, watching the movers carry Diana's carefully chosen furniture into Palm Grove Estates. But next week should be interesting. The days crawled by. Diana flooded social media with photos of her new house, each post more grandiose than the last. A fresh start, she wrote. Making new memories in our dream home. She even posted a jab about how some people couldn't attend the funeral because they weren't real family. Finally, inspection day arrived. I watched through the security cameras as Diana's Mercedes pulled up to the gate, followed by a parade of family members she'd invited to witness her triumph. Melissa was there, along with Diana's sister Patricia and various cousins who'd taken their side after the funeral. Ready for this? Emma asked, standing beside me in the house's security room. I straightened my blazer, Armani, bought with the profits from my latest real estate deal. Time to show them what family really means. Diana's voice echoed through the entrance hall, carrying that familiar tone of smug superiority. The owner's representative should be here to give us the keys. Though really it's just a formality. We've already started moving in. I pressed the intercom button. Actually, the owner is already here. The clicking of Diana's heels stopped. Where? Right here, I said, stepping out from the security room into the marble-floored foyer. The silence that followed was absolute. Diana's perfectly maintained facade cracked, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Melissa dropped her designer purse, the sound echoing through the empty house. No, Diana whispered. This isn't possible. Actually, I smiled, holding up the property deed. It's very possible. Amazing what you can accomplish when you're not invited to family functions. Gives you lots of time to build an empire. Diana's face contorted with rage, her carefully applied makeup creasing at the edges. You're the mysterious buyer? The one who's been holding this property. Monarch Real Estate Holdings, I confirmed, watching realization dawn across the faces of our assembled family. Buy company. The same one that owns about 30% of the luxury properties in this area. Including this one. Melissa stepped forward, her voice shrill. But that's impossible. You're nobody. After your mother died. After my mother died, I cut her off. I took her small real estate portfolio and turned it into something she would have been proud of. While you and your mother were busy trying to force me to sell my childhood home, I was building an empire. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same business acumen Diana had mocked as playing with houses had made me wealthy enough to buy her dream home 10 times over. You can't do this, Diana hissed, her perfect veneer cracking further. We've already started moving in. We have a contract. A contract contingent on today's final inspection and my approval, I corrected her, pulling out a thick folder. And I'm afraid there are some concerns about your financial statements. Patricia, Diana's sister, pushed forward. Now see here, you spiteful child. Your father would be ashamed. My father, I interrupted, my voice sharp enough to make her step back. Died thinking I abandoned him because of the lies this woman told him. I pointed at Diana. Would you like to explain why he never received any of my letters? Or the invitations to dinner? Or the Christmas cards? Diana's face paled slightly. Behind her, Emma pulled out a stack of unopened envelopes. All the correspondence I'd sent over the years, marked return to sender, found in Diana's desk after she'd started moving. Those are private. Diana lunged for the letters, but Emma stepped back. Private like the power of attorney documents you had Dad sign when he was on medication? I asked quietly. The ones giving you control of all his assets just 2 days before he died? The assembled family members began murmuring, shooting uncertain glances between Diana and me. Even Melissa looked shaken. Don't act so shocked, I continued. Did you really think I wouldn't investigate after being banned from my own father's funeral? That I wouldn't find the trail of financial manipulation? The mysterious transfers from his accounts to yours. You had no right. Diana's voice rose hysterically. You weren't there. You abandoned him. I have copies of every letter, I said, my voice steady. Every invitation. Every attempt to contact him that you intercepted. And more importantly, I have copies of every financial document you tried to hide. I pressed a button on my phone and the house's integrated display systems came to life, showing financial records, intercepted letters and security footage from Dad's office, including clips of Diana going through his mail. This is my favorite part, I said, pointing to a video showing Diana shredding what was clearly marked as medical information intended for family members. The part where you made sure I never knew he was sick. Never knew he was dying. The color drained from Diana's face. I was protecting him. From what? Emma demanded. From the child who built a successful business, who tried to maintain contact despite your interference, who kept their mother's house not out of spite, but because it was their last connection to her. I held up another document, the recent power of attorney transfer. The police are very interested in how this document came to be signed while Dad was heavily medicated. His doctor has already provided a statement about his mental state at the time. Melissa's designer purse hit the floor again. Mom, what did you do? Diana's composure finally shattered completely. He was my husband. Everything was supposed to be mine. This house, his money, all of it. This spoiled brat had everything, their mother's house, their trust fund, their perfect life. I deserved. You deserved. I stepped closer, my voice deadly quiet. You deserved to isolate a dying man from his child? To intercept their letters? To hide his illness? To manipulate him into signing away his assets while he was drugged? The silence that followed was deafening. Family members began edging toward the door, suddenly eager to distance themselves from Diana's unraveling narrative. The movers will be here in an hour, I announced, checking my watch. They'll take your things back to your previous address. Don't worry about the cost, consider it my last gift to my family. You can't just throw us out, Diana protested, but her voice had lost its authority. We have rights. Actually, I held up the contract. According to Section 7.3, I can terminate this sale at any time before final closing if I discover any material misrepresentation in the buyer's financial statements. Would you like me to detail the discrepancies I found in yours? The next few hours transformed our family's dynamics forever. As Diana's carefully constructed facade crumbled, the truth emerged like water through cracks in a dam, unstoppable and devastating. One by one, family members approached me with their own stories. Aunt Sarah revealed how Diana had convinced her not to tell me about Dad's first hospitalization. Cousin Michael admitted she'd threatened to cut off contact with anyone who kept me informed about Dad's condition. Even Melissa, her own daughter, discovered years of manipulation and lies. "The trust fund," Melissa said quietly, pulling me aside as the movers began arriving. "The one Mom always said you refused to share. It never existed, did it?" I shook my head. "My mother left me her real estate portfolio, 3 small properties and this house. Everything else I built myself. Your mother created the trust fund story to justify her resentment." Diana stood in the foyer, watching as her designer furniture was carefully removed from what she'd thought would be her dream home. Her perfect makeup had smeared, leaving dark streaks down her cheeks. "You've ruined everything," she spat as I passed her. "Your father wanted dash." "Don't," I cut her off, my voice cold. "Don't pretend to know what my father wanted. Not after this." I pulled out my phone and played a video security footage from Dad's hospital room 3 days before he died. In it, Diana was clearly seen removing a stack of letters from his bedside table while he slept. My letters, finally delivered by a nurse who didn't know about Diana's instructions to return them. "He never knew I tried to reach him," I said, watching Diana's face as the truth of her actions played out on screen. "Never knew about the dinners I invited him to, the holidays I wanted to share, the successes I wanted to tell him about. You stole that from both of us." Emma appeared at my side holding more documents. "The police are here. They'd like to discuss the power of attorney situation." 2 officers entered the foyer, their presence adding another layer of reality to Diana's unraveling world. As they began reading her rights, Patricia finally found her voice. "But where will she go? You can't just leave her with nothing." I turned to face the family members who remained. "Diana has her original house, the one she owned before marrying Dad. The one she kept in her name while trying to force me to sell my mother's home. She's not destitute, just disappointed that her plan failed." Melissa sank onto the stairs, her designer outfit wrinkled from the stress of the day. "I can't believe she hid Dad's illness from you. All those times you tried to visit." "Your mother was very good at controlling the narrative," I replied, softening my tone slightly. "She convinced everyone that I was the villain, the ungrateful child who abandoned their father for money. It was easier to believe that than to question why a successful business owner would really cut off contact with their only parent." As Diana was led away by the police, she turned for one last attack. "You think this makes you family? Destroying everything we built? You're still just an outsider." I walked over to the large portrait hanging in the foyer, my mother and father on their wedding day, young and in love. "No, Diana. Family isn't about who owns the biggest house or controls the most money. It's about honor, truth, and love. 3 things you never understood." The next few weeks brought massive changes. The investigation into Diana's financial manipulation expanded, revealing years of calculated deception. The power of attorney documents were invalidated, and Dad's estate was properly processed according to his original will, the one Diana had tried to hide. I converted the Palm Grove house into a memorial of sorts, a community center offering business education and support for young entrepreneurs. The first classroom was named after my father, with his real photo on the wall, not the stern portrait Diana had commissioned, but one of him laughing at my college graduation. Melissa came to the opening ceremony, her designer clothes replaced by something more modest. "I've been thinking about what you said about building something of your own," she said hesitantly. Would you maybe be willing to teach me about real estate?" I looked at my stepsister, seeing for the first time not Diana's daughter, but another victim of her mother's manipulation. "There's a business class starting next week. Why don't you join us?" Emma helped me sort through Dad's belongings, finding more hidden letters and photos Diana had intercepted. Each discovery was another piece of the puzzle, another moment stolen from us by jealousy and greed. "Look at this," Emma said one evening, holding up a photo album. Inside was a picture of me at my first real estate closing, proudly holding up the keys to my first investment property. Dad had kept it despite Diana's efforts to erase me from his life. On the back in his shaky handwriting was a note: "My child's first real estate deal. Following in their mother's footsteps. Wish I could tell them how proud I am." The tears finally came then, not from anger or revenge, but from the bittersweet knowledge that somewhere beneath Diana's manipulation, Dad had still cared. 1 year later, I stood in the community center's main hall, watching as another class of aspiring entrepreneurs graduated from our business program. Melissa was among them, having discovered her own talent for property management. Diana's trial had ended with a guilty plea, multiple counts of fraud and financial exploitation. She would spend several years in prison, her dream of social status and wealth replaced by concrete walls and prison uniforms. The family had slowly healed, though some bridges remained burned. Patricia still couldn't look me in the eye, too ashamed of her role in Diana's deception. But others, like Melissa and Emma, had become true family, bound not by blood or marriage, but by truth and understanding.